Hi everyone, this is Mike. I'm the creator of Family Football Board Game. And yes, I know my voice sounds like Mickey Mouse right now. I recently had a surgical procedure done that my voice is a side effect. I don't know how long my voice is going to be this way, but nonetheless, I still wanted to do an introductory video to Family Football Board Game. What you see in front of you is what comes with the game. Game box, 20 teams, 20 team cards. There is a team from every franchise, at least one representative, that has won since 1966. You also get the instructions, which are here. It's 2 pages. You get this card holder that'll hold the 20 teams. You get these small boards. This is the scoreboard that comes with pawns that you can just use to manually enter in the score to keep track. The same as you have pawns for a game board as well that keeps track of your quarters and the drive number. And this card is the optional ref ball rules card. You don't have to play a game with ref ball, but what this does is it adds a comical addition where the referees can impact the outcome of a drive that could potentially assist one team or ruin the drive for another. So I'm going to now set up a sample game for a basis of understanding on how to play the game. Okay, I have a sample game set up. We're going to play the 1985 Chicago team against the 1999 St. Louis team. Okay? Now, whenever you purchase the game or if you purchase the season, you are allowed to download for free player finders for each team. This tells you who scored and how. We'll get to that later. Also, you can download a score sheet to keep track of your entire game, to file it away. You can write down who scored, how they scored, etc. if you wanted to. If you purchase a regular season, and all seasons from 1950 to now are available, you can also download for free the schedule, so you can actually play a whole season if you'd like. Now we're going to go off of these 2 cards. Chicago 1985 and St. Louis 1977. Visiting team will be on the left, home team will be on the right. There's no difference as to the visitor or home. There's no advantage. This is just to keep track of the game. We will use to get through this sample the scoreboard that comes with the game, pawns on the zeros for the scoreboard, the game board, which all it does is keep track of the quarter and the drive. This is a drive-by-drive game. This can be as slow or as fast as you want the game to be. When you start, you're going to take a look at the offensive unit and the defensive unit of each team. So, with Chicago, the left side is the offense. The right side is the defense. You can see on the top left, Chicago's ranking for an offense is 7. Their defense is rated a 10. All of these dice rolls have to do with how they scored offensively, including special teams, and what they allowed defensively. St. Louis, same process, okay? Now, when you start, you're going to want to compare the offensive unit of one team with the defensive unit of another. So as you can see, Chicago's offense is rated a 7, St. Louis a 3. This is important because there will be a bonus given to the unit, offense or defense, who has the higher rating. Okay? Now if you reverse it, St. Louis's offense is rated a 9. Chicago's was rated a 10. In both scenarios, Chicago has an advantage. Their offense is better than the St. Louis defense, and Chicago's defense is slightly better than St. Louis's offense. So they will receive a bonus. Each drive, there are 2 rolls that takes place. The first is called the drive advantage roll. You are going to roll to see which unit is performing better on the field. If Chicago has the ball first, is their offense on this drive performing better than St. Louis's defense? Well, Chicago has a better offense than St. Louis's defense. They will have an advantage on the dice roll, but that doesn't mean St. Louis's defense might not be outperforming Chicago's offense. Now, here's how it's determined. Visiting team dice, home team dice. Like a lot of games, the colored die, red or blue, is a 10 base. So 1 through 6 is really 10 through 60. The white color, 1 through 6. So, for example, this dice roll, it's a 52. Okay? Now, as I said, there are 2 dice rolls per drive. The first is to determine which team has the drive advantage. Whoever wins that roll, the next roll is the outcome of the drive, and you're looking off of their respective card, whether they're on offense or defense. Did their offense score because they were doing well? Or if you have the advantage on defense, did your defense allow a score? And how? Run, pass, field goal attempt, whatever. Now, as we noted, Chicago has the advantage blanket in this game, offense and defense. So this 53, the 10 base dice will get a 1 bonus blanket on the drive advantage roll. So 52 is really a 62. If you roll the 62, yes, it's a 72. So there are 2 rolls that take place. Before you begin, 3 rules you want to agree to. First rule is there a 2-point conversion in the game? Because you may be playing an era that doesn't have it. Excuse me. Second, on the coin flip, is it kick receive or kick receive and defer? Because it didn't used to have the option of deferring. Finally, is there overtime? And if there is, what kind of overtime? 1 overtime and it's a tie. It goes into sudden death. First team to score wins. Each team gets a possession. You determine that. Once you and the other player, because this can be 2 players rolling. Once you determine these rules, you begin. We'll do the coin flip. It's just straight up. A 55 for Chicago and a 15 for St. Louis. Chicago wins the toss. We say they receive. Let's say that there is a 2-point conversion option and it's kick or receive only. And there's a sudden death overtime. Whoever scores first wins. Okay. Chicago's receiving a kickoff. This is the drive advantage roll. Chicago, again, we already said blanket in this game has the advantage. 41 becomes a 51. And look what that St. Louis rolled. A 41. They rolled the same as Chicago. But because Chicago, their offense is a little better than St. Louis's defense, that advantage actually played part in this roll. So, now, Chicago, on their first drive, they're just going to roll. There's no dice advantage on this. It's a straight dice roll. They're going to roll off their offense chart on what the drive result was. A 63. A 63. Chicago has fumbled the ball away. Out of the gate. How about that? Go to the second drive. So I'm moving my tokens on the game board. St. Louis got the ball off of a fumble. A 14 and a 12, but the bonus goes to Chicago. So we're rolling off of Chicago's defensive chart. A 24. If it's not in here, and it's not in the 60s, the 60s are rare play possibilities. Then this result is a punt. Okay? St. Louis punts. Chicago ball after St. Louis punt. Okay? In this case, again, Chicago wins the dice roll advantage. We're rolling up their offense. A 36. Chicago, field goal range 31, so they're out of field goal range. Chicago punts. St. Louis ball. A 22 becomes a 32, and look at that. It just edges out St. Louis. So, Chicago is going to roll up their defense to see if they held St. Louis. They rolled a 25. So it's just outside, St. Louis is just outside of field goal range. It's a punt. All right? 32 becomes a 42 to a 12. So Chicago's rolling up their offensive chart. A 21. They threw a touchdown pass. Now, you can go, if you want to keep track, how do they score? The starting quarterback's always listed first. You could just say Jim McMahon. But for the heck of it, we're going to roll. A 34. It is Jim McMahon. Go to the receiver. Who did he throw it to? 63. He threw it to Emery Moorhead, the tight end. So if you wanted, you could write down McMahon to Moorhead touchdown pass. Okay? Now on the extra point, if it says auto, which it does here, it means you don't have to roll for the extra point. It's automatically good because in real life they never missed. Okay? So, Chicago's a finishing team. As you can see, I'm just adjusting the scoreboard. 7-0 Chicago. Okay? Now, the Rams will receive the ball off of a kickoff. Chicago has the advantage. 22 becomes a 32. So now we are going off of Chicago's defensive chart. A 62. A 62, well, we did kick off. They did kick off to St. Louis. A 62 means that this could be a kickoff return for a touchdown. Okay? Their defense never, that's what the X means. In real life, they never did allow one. So if that's the case, the drive is over and it's a punt. But we'll look at St. Louis's card. On their offense, did they ever return a kickoff for a touchdown? Yes, they did. If in this scenario, Chicago did allow one in real life, and St. Louis did run it back, this kickoff would have been run back for a touchdown. In this case, it is not. Plus, I rolled that, but what if St. Louis had received this off of a punt? Everything has to align or it didn't happen. So in this case, it didn't happen. It's a punt. So, at the end of the first quarter, it's 7-0 Chicago. What I will do for the second quarter is I'm going to race through this. Since I'm familiar with the rules, I'm going to show you how fast you can play this once you understand the rules. All right, so Chicago's receiving the ball on a punt. That's a 45, Chicago's offense. A 64, Chicago's offense on a 64. It's a fumble. Well, I'm not going to race through it now because I need to show this. They fumbled, period. But this is a touchdown possibility because you're going off their offensive card. Their offense fumbled it away. If this was a check mark, you would compare it to St. Louis's defense. St. Louis, actually in history, did return a fumble return for a touchdown. But Chicago did not allow one. Okay? Everything has to line up or it doesn't happen. The turnover does happen. It is a fumble, no matter what. However, it is not a return for a touchdown. Okay? All right. So now it's St. Louis's ball, down 7-0. They recovered off of the fumble. I'm going to try to race through this again. Chicago with the advantage. They can roll off their defense. 44. It's a St. Louis has to punt to Chicago. So Chicago's on offense. 31. Chicago's in field goal range. If you're in field goal range, here's your field goal try. You roll this to determine whether or not you made the field goal. 42. Chicago kicked the field goal. It's good. 10-0 Chicago. Kickoff to the Rams. 42 becomes a 52. Rams are 53. Rams offensive chart and 11. They scored a touchdown running the ball. So we can go to St. Louis. How did they score by running the ball? Here's their chart. 43, Robert Holcomb. Extra point, don't have to roll, it's automatic. It's 10-7 Chicago. Chicago receives a kickoff. They were in the 40s, so they have the higher roll, 66. This is a possible interception return for a touchdown by the Rams. And look at this. They did. Chicago did have an interception. They allowed for a touchdown on their offense, where my thumb is. Okay? On the defense, the Rams, they actually did it in real life. Chicago threw one in real life. The Rams returned it in real life. This is an interception return for a touchdown. Now we can go to the interception chart for the Rams. There's a whole bunch of people who did it. Let's see who did it. 23. Mike Jones. Sound familiar, folks? Mike Jones returned it for a touchdown, and the extra point's automatically good. So the Rams just took the lead, 14-10. Now, that was a pick six, but Chicago gets the ball again because there's one more possession left. And it's coming down to Chicago's dice roll. They're in offense. 44, it's a punt. All right, so that's the end of the first quarter. It's 14-10 Rams. So we now go to the third quarter. 14-10 Rams. The Rams are receiving the kickoff because they kicked off in the first half. 55, 11 becomes a 21. Rams offensive chart, 26. 26 is they're in field goal range. So we're going to roll off with their field goal chart. A 12. The Rams got the field goal. The Rams are now winning 17-10. Chicago ball. The Rams won this dice roll. Going up the Rams defense, 61. A punt return for a touchdown possibility. But since the Rams kicked off, this is dead on arrival right there. This is a punt. Everything has to line up or it's a punt. Okay. So, now Chicago is punting to the Rams. 24, 25, but they get the bonus, 35. A 62. Boy, this is a crazy game. A kickoff return for a touchdown. But they punted. So, that is dead on arrival right there. That can't be the case. So that rare play didn't happen. It's a punt. So, again, Chicago has the advantage. A 22 against a 13 because of that drive advantage. Okay, so the Rams are on offense. Chicago rolled a 62. Well, they didn't kick off, so that rare play can't happen, so it's a punt. Chicago ball. 35 becomes a 45 to a 41. Chicago roll. Boy, a lot of 60s in this game. Chicago on offense, 63. They fumbled the ball away. Rams fumble. They have the ball, but it's up to Chicago's defense. A 32. Out of range. Chicago forced them to punt. So the Rams punt to the Bears. 53 to 44 becomes a 54. Chicago has the advantage. Chicago rolled a 21. Chicago got a touchdown pass, as you can see here. So we can determine, if you want, how they threw the touchdown pass. McMahon to 61 to Willie Gault. So McMahon throws a touchdown pass to Willie Gault to end the third quarter. So it's now tied at 17. The Rams are receiving the kickoff. Even with the dice roll advantage, it's the Rams offense. A 43 is a punt. So the Rams punt to Chicago. 65 actually becomes a 75, as I explained earlier. It literally does become a 75. Chicago on offense rolled a 54. That's a punt. Chicago punting to the Rams. 52, 22 becomes a 32. The Rams offense is controlling this drive. They rolled a 36. They're just outside field goal range. Chicago ball. We're coming late in the fourth quarter, tied at 17. Chicago absolutely won that dice roll. Chicago offense, 24. 24. They're in field goal range. So if they roll an 11 to 56, they kick the field goal. They rolled a 61, they missed. So Ram ball, 24 becomes a 34. Beats out that 31. Chicago rolling out their defense, a 51. Rams have to punt. This is the last drive for the end of regulation. Chicago has the ball. A 61 versus a 33. Well, Chicago, even without the drive advantage, they control this outcome. A 43. End of regulation. We're actually going to overtime. Tied at 17. This is just a coin flip. The Rams win the coin flip and will receive the ball. 53 becomes a 60. Whoops, I rotated the dice. 53 becomes a 63. Chicago's defense is dictating this part of the drive. Oh, wow. Game over. Chicago allowed a touchdown pass on the opening drive for the Rams. Because we're playing with the rules, first to score wins. If you want to see who threw the ball, okay, it was Kurt Warner to Isaac Bruce. So there you go. The Rams defeat the Bears 24-17 in overtime. So, I hope you enjoyed this sample game. Please excuse my Mickey Mouse voice. I can read all the comments busting on me now, but I wanted to get this done to show you all how slow or fast you can do this game. I sincerely hope you enjoy watching this, and if you have any questions, please send me an email. I'll list it in the description of this video. The game is available at the Game Crafter. All seasons from 1950 forward are available, including last year. I will make the 2026 season. After the regular season's over is when I'll build it. I also have some compilation card sets that include great historical teams, I even have teams going back to 1920. So you'll notice the colors of these cards. I try to replicate team colors on the cards, and this goes back to what they were in history. So, for example, the Rams had a different look in 2001, a darker shade of blue and gold. So if you use those seasons, those colors will be represented. Thanks for watching the video, and everyone take care. This is the optional rule set for ref ball. Everything is in the 50s. So just like in the 60s when you're playing the game, that's a rare play possibility. If it's the 50s, it's a ref ball possibility. So for ref ball, what you need to do is determine which team has the favoritism. So once you've determined that, I'll give you an example. Let's say you roll a 56 on your drive result. First, is the favoritism team on defense? If they're not, there's no ref ball. If there is, then here's what happened. There was a penalty flag thrown, then it was picked up. And the referee states there was no foul for fill in the blank, whatever you want. The offense is now forced to punt. If the final drive, if this is the final drive by this offense and they're losing, the game is over and they lost on a bad call. Otherwise, it's a bad call nonetheless and they have to punt.